Now that you understand DNS zones, let's hop onto our Windows server and create a zone. In Server Manager, select Tools and DNS. To create a new DNS zone, right-click on the forward lookup zones under the server and select New Zone. Choose Next, and then either select Primary, Secondary, or Stub Zone. If you are creating a primary or stub zone, you may choose to store the zone in Active Directory. If you select this checkbox, this zone will be considered an Active Directory integrated zone. On the next screen, if you chose to store the zone in Active Directory, you will be able to choose how you want it to be replicated. The first option allows you to replicate the zone across all domain controllers that have the DNS server role in the forest. This means that the zone can be replicated across multiple domains. This is the broadest replication scope that you can choose. The second option will replicate the zone to all domain controllers with the DNS server role installed on this current domain. The third option allows you to replicate the DNS zone to all domain controllers in the current domain. Choose this option if you are working with a Windows 2000 domain controller. The final option is grayed out because this server has not been enlisted in a DNS application directory partition. With DNS directory partitions, you can fine-tune exactly which domain controllers you want this zone to be replicated to. Since we haven't set anything up like that, we cannot choose this fourth option. Now I'm going to leave the default option checked and click Next. The next screen will prompt you to enter your zone name. I'm going to enter My Test Zone, all one word, and click Next. Now, if you did not choose to integrate with Active Directory, you will now be asked to create a DNS file. Since I chose to integrate with Active Directory, I am brought to the Dynamic Update screen. You can either choose Secure, Non-Secure, or No Dynamic Updates. I strongly recommend that you choose the first option unless you have some specific need to do otherwise. Allowing non-secure updates imposes a great unnecessary security vulnerability to your DNS server. And disabling dynamic updates will require you to manually create and maintain the DNS resource records in the zone. If you did not choose to integrate this zone with Active Directory, you will only be able to choose between allowing both non-secure and secure or allowing dynamic updates. In this scenario, your best option is to not allow dynamic updates, as you will be unable to use Active Directory's secure dynamic updates. Since I chose to integrate this DNS zone with Active Directory, I'm going to leave the Allow Only Secure Dynamic Updates option selected and click Next. Click Finish. I have now created my forward lookup zone. I can see that it has the two required records, which are the SOA and the NS resource records. Now that you've created a forward lookup zone, let's create a reverse lookup zone. The process is almost the same, but there are a few subtle differences that we should cover. Right-click on Reverse Lookup Zones and choose New Zone. Click Next, and on the next screen, I'm going to choose a primary zone. And I will leave the Store the Zone in Active Directory checkbox selected, and then I'll click Next. I'm going to leave the default option for all DNS servers and click Next. Now we have the option of choosing either IP version 4 or IP version 6. Since my network is using IP version 4, I will go with this option. On the next screen, I need to identify the reverse lookup zone. You can either type in the network ID or the zone name. It's a lot easier to type in the network ID, so I'm going to do this. Now this will be the first 3 octets of the subnet which your zone is located in. In my case, my server is on the 10.0.2.x subnet, so I will type this in. Notice that the reverse lookup zone name is automatically populated based on the IP address you entered above. Click Next, and then we can choose our preference for dynamic updates. Now I'm going to only allow secure updates, and I'll click Next. Now click Finish. I can now see the reverse lookup zone has been created, and it has the required SOA and NS records. This zone will be automatically populated as clients check in with the DNS server, but you can also create pointers here if you would like. Now you know how to create a forward and reverse lookup zone. Great job learning all this. I will see you in the next lecture.